Bienvenidos and welcome back to Puro Pinche Gol, the place we discuss all things USMNT y la selección mexicana. My name is Adrian. Joining me once again is my co-host Tocayo, Adrian. Adrian, what's Gucci, man?
It's all good, man. Monday night, kind of still a little sad because ligamx went on a hiatus, but getting a little pumped because I'm trying to see if I can get tickets for Monterrey against Pumas here in Austin, and then we have tickets to see, as we mentioned in the last episode, to see Tigres against Inter de Miami. Inter de Miami without Messi. Messi-less Inter de Miami.
Yeah. So is Monterrey's home base for League's Cup going to be in Austin?
Yes, sir. They're playing against Austin FC and against Pumas as well. I think they play first Austin FC on the 30th, so next Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. And then they finish with Pumas a couple of days after.
That's dope. Cool. Mm-hmm. But we're here to talk about the news that was released today, Monday, July 22nd. Not really news. Everybody knew what was happening. Everybody had already suspected what was going on, but this is for La Federación Mexicana, femexfut. Today came out with the official statement that I guess Javieraguirre, Vasco Aguirre has pretty much taken over Mexico team until 2026 World Cup, and after that, and joining him will be Rafa Marquez, the legendary New York Red Bulls player, joining him until 2026, and then he will take over from 2026 to 2030 as the head coach. Kind of the same situation that we're offering jaimelozano, no? Join as the auxiliar, the assistant of Vasco Aguirre for 2 years as he kind of leads this and steers this ship to a hopefully successful 2026 home World Cup campaign, and learn under him, under his staff, and after that lead the 2030, 2034 World Cup cycles. Today Julio Davino came out and said that we're very pleased to announce the arrival of Javier Vasco Aguirre as technical director, directortecnico of the national team. He will also be joined, of course, by Rafa Marquez, who they're pleased to hire on as well. Adrian, man, we kind of alluded to this when we were talking about our Jimmy's Out video. How Vasco was coming in for his third tenure. Vasco, a man who has worn many hats throughout his coaching career, has coached teams in ligamx, Atlante, Monterrey, Pachuca, has coached in La Liga with Atlético Madrid, Osasuna, Español, has coached international teams other than Mexico, Japan, Egypt, right? Most recently was the Mallorca coach and led them to a Copa del Rey final, which he unfortunately lost. But 2 different tenures before in the past with Mexico. What can we expect, if anything, differently from Vasco Aguirre this time? And are you excited for this hire?
I am not excited to see El Vasco Aguirre in as the Mexican coach. We mentioned this on that episode that we made. Now that it's official, I really don't see anything. I don't see any big changes happening. I think the things that we can expect to see different are he will just completely bring to a halt this whole generational change that eltri was trying to put together. He's going to bring people that he knows, that he feels confident, that he feels that he's going to be able to put the best face of Mexico out there. And that, with that being said, we're going to see like a very veteran, I think, Mexican squad in the upcoming matches in September, or the upcoming friendlies that we'll see against New Zealand, Canada, if I'm not mistaken. And so, as far as like the game style and gameplay, we all know that Vasco Aguirre, it's one of those coaches that makes a talentless pool of players be competitive in a way, right? Because that's pretty much what he's done throughout his entire career. When he had a Ferrari in Atlético de Madrid, he pretty much crashed it. But when he had a decent Volkswagen on Osasuna, he was able to take him all the way to the Champions League. So he's a coach that is resourceful, that he knows how to take advantage of the best attributes of his players and motivate them to give 110%. I think we'll see a Mexico with a line of 5 and perhaps 1 or 2 strikers like we normally see on El Vasco's lineups for every single team that he has coached so far.
So you say that he's a guy that can make a lot happen with little talent, and when he had a lot of talent at his disposal, it overwhelmed him, I guess. But isn't that what Mexico needs right now? Somebody that can kind of that could steer the ship and bring order and wins and performances to mediocre Mexico talent pool. As far as talent goes for Mexico, this is probably the weakest it's been in the last 20, 30 years. I think everybody's in agreement with that. If somebody that, at least, if if it had to be a Mexican coach, which I guess it had to, they got Vasco Aguirre, obviously. Wouldn't he be the choice to lead this team to, say, hey, he can get the best out of them?
Yeah, no, and absolutely. I mean, my opinion is my own personal opinion, right? I don't like him as a coach. That doesn't mean that he's perhaps the best coach or the best suit for Mexico at the moment, right? I 100% agree with your statement. I think if there was someone out there that was going to make this work, and by work I mean, pretty much put everyone at ease. He's someone who will, essentially make the pundits not go in flames as much as Jimmy Lozano did, right?
Mm-hmm.
He is someone who the players will respect because of his trajectory, not only as a eltri player, but also as the manager, and all the accolades.
Right.
Well, some of the accolades that he collected through his managerial career. And on top of that, it's a big name that will, of course, make the fan base, especially here in the States, feel a little more confident when they go and see, El Tri play in these Juegos Moleros over here in the States. So,
Right.
and again, he's going to bring the big names. I think he's going to bring back Ochoa, Irwin Lozano. I don't see him not doing that. So yeah, is he the best option out there? Maybe not, but he's definitely the the best
The
fit.
safest.
Yeah, the safest. There we go. That's the correct word. The safest option for Mexico right now.
Let us know in the comments below if you think Vasco Aguirre will bring back those older generation, Guillermo Ochoa,
Henry Martin.
Henry Martin, Raúl Jiménez, Chucky Lozano. Yeah, let us know in the comments if you agree with Adrian there. But yeah, Adrian, I agree with you. I think he's going to be a guy that kind of, since he only has 2 years there, not going to risk playing youngsters. He's just
Yeah,
there
why would you
to
do
get
that?
the job done, and he knows that his 2 years is to perform at the 2026 World Cup. You're not going to give the chance to an 18-year-old, and without knowing if he's going to be ready to perform at 2026 World Cup at all. You're going to stick to the people you have that will be there for you in 2 years, that are proven. And after that, after learning through those 2 years, learning through what he's learned playing with a lot of youngsters at Barça B, I think Rafa Marquez is going to be the one that's going to kind of hopefully lead that charge, resume where Jaime Lozano was kind of starting to do, and try to influx that young generation into Mexico's national team. Just because we discussed at this point, 2026 is it's over for Mexico, at least in regard to youngsters, right? This has to be a long term project that that we see the 2011 rule, all these rules where they've come out and said ligamx are going to make it easier for players to go to Europe, youngsters to go to Europe, lower transfer clauses, etc. All these changes are at largo plazo, at long term, that won't be effective at 2026. It's going to be up to Marquez to make sure those changes are being capitalized for the 2030, 2034 World Cups. So
Yes, sir.
yeah, let's kind of before we move entirely to Rafa Marquez, I want to kind of go over Javieraguirre's kind of managerial stats here. If we look back at his Mexico tenures, he took charge of them back in 21 of June 2001 till July 1st, 2002. So right after the 2002 World Cup, where they got knocked out by the USMNT in the round of 16. He had 27 games in charge, 17 wins, 3 draws, 7 losses for 63 more or less win percentage. And then he again took charge in emergency situation from April 3rd, 2009 to June 30th, 2010. So this is going to be the longest tenure he has, double the length of his old tenures from 1 year to 2 years, but still a guy that's known for his short tenures. That second tenure, he was in charge for 32 matches, 19 wins, 7 draws, 6 losses for a 60% win rate. So the only other teams he's had a more successful win rate percentage are when he coached Japan, or not Japan, he had a 60% there. So he was more or less similar to Mexico. But when he coached Egypt, he had a 75% win percentage, playing down there in Africa. So, other than that, Mexico has been his most successful tenures if we look just at win percentages. But if you look back at his history, Mallorca, he was there for 2 years. Monterrey, he was there for 2 years. Egypt, he was there for a year. When he was in Saudi Arabia, he was there for 2 years. Atletico Madrid was probably the longest, for 3 years. So definitely not a man for the long term. I think we've all established that. Somebody that comes in there and fixes fires, and who Mexico needs right now.
Yeah, he's like a transitional coach for sure.
For sure. And the man to transition it to, it's going to be Rafa Marquez. Rafa Marquez, obviously, the Barca legend, also played at New York Red Bulls, Monaco, Atlas, obviously, Leon even. This is a move I personally am not a fan of. I think he was doing good things in Barca Athletic, getting a chance that not many Mexican coaches get, just because of his history with that club. There was rumors, I guess, last summer that he was being considered to be the Barcelona, the main team head coach. But even playing there at Barça B, or managing that, I think opens up a lot of doors. If he was able to be successful there, he could have maybe moved to Betis or Mallorca or something like that and get a chance that not many Mexican coaches get in Europe, and to help establish that that stigma that Mexicans can coach in Europe. I just feel like, I don't know, I like the fact that he's going to learn under Vasco Aguirre, but I just don't like the fact that he abandoned such a nice, lucrative job over there in Europe. I don't know. What are your feelings on him joining?
I understand where you're coming from, and I think that you do definitely have a point. I feel that this abrupt exit from Barcelona Athletic or will hinder his ability to either come back to Barcelona and pick up where he left off, or to find a new spot somewhere in Europe. Nonetheless, I also think this is a win-win situation for him, and let me explain. Even though that he was offered a contract to be the assistant coach for this upcoming World Cup and then take the helm for 2030, there's still the possibility that he says, I don't want to do it. So to me, this if everything goes bad and everything fails and Mexico does poorly, he won't be the scapegoat for all the failure that Mexico will digest, right? He will be just a pawn on El Vasco Aguirre's plan, and he can just wash his hands and say, hey, I wasn't the guy calling the shots. I was just an assistant coach, and this was a great experience for me. He then can go back and either try to find his way back in Barça Athletic or find his way into a smaller team in Spain with a curriculum that says I coach or I was an assistant coach at a World Cup, right? And so how easy it is for a up and coming coach to have that experience on his resume at such an early age as a coach, I think is kind of difficult. So
It'll
if
get
I
him a
see
Liga MX job for sure.
yeah, for sure, or an MLS one. I mean, I I hear you out. I also feel that if he would have stayed at Barça Athletic, maybe in the next 3 years or 2 years, he could have gotten a first team or La Liga Dos coaching job and continue that path. But I also think that this kind of sort of accelerates that specific aspect of his career, where after this World Cup, he will definitely have a bigger CV and get a job at Liga MX, get a job at MLS, which can then be the next step into nestling a job or finding an opportunity on, I don't know, Almeria, Albacete. I don't even know Albacete is still in La Liga Dos, but something small, right? Ude Palmas, something along those lines. I still don't.
A large reward for small risk.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I see it. That's how I personally see it. He has everything to win and very, 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 almost nothing to lose.
Right, because like you said, all eyes are going to be on El Vasco.
Exactly. And if everything goes well and Mexico performs and reaches that, not the fifth match, because now it's going to be the sixth match,
Right.
or if they do an impressive run and somehow they find themselves in a semifinal, he will get also part of those accolades, right? He will get praise because he was like, he was part of the Mexican team that made it all the way to the semifinals, and they were either playing really well and whatever. So he will get that praise. He will get
And
all
then
the
he'll be able
awards.
to build on that to 2030.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think it's a very calculated move by Rafa Marquez. I don't think he's a dummy. I think he's a guy who thinks before he makes the next move. Even though he always lost his head on the times that Mexico needed him most.
Yeah.
But I see it that way. I see it as a very, very smart move by him.
Okay. Yeah. Let us know in the comments if you're a fan of this Rafa Marquez move, or if you were, kind of leaning towards him staying in Spain. Definitely let us know. At the end, man, busy Monday for eltri here.
Yes.
But news that didn't really surprise anybody, didn't take anybody by surprise, obviously.
No.
So it's been confirmed now officially, and the new hopefully third time's a charm. Reign of Vasco Aguirre begins now, ahead of the
Hopefully the
2026
last one
World
too.
Cup. Yeah, we'll see, man. But at the end, let's wrap up this episode, brother. Where can listeners find us?
They can always find us on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on the notifications. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast on. Last but not least, you can also find us on Instagram and TikTok. We post memes, latest news, and shorts of our episodes.
Yeah, so be sure to follow us and let us know in the comments below. Yeah, I mean, what are your hopes for 2026 World Cup under the helm of Vasco Aguirre and Rafa Marquez, to, I guess, personas that know each other. Obviously, Vasco has coached Rafa Marquez in the past, and now they will be working to take this generation of eltri players to hopefully success at the 2026 World Cup at home soil. And success, I'm not defining it as a World Cup win. I'm just saying, like Adrian said, the
That will
sixth
be,
match.
yeah, that will be a miracle if you ask me.
So
Yeah,
let us know what your thoughts are on this, and you guys excited for this new era in Mexican football. Yeah, man. Good episode. I'll see you in the next one.
always a pleasure, my guy. See ya.
Likewise. See you, dude.
Deuce.